What is up, party people? Welcome back to Saturdays and Seltzers, or welcome if you are new here. My name is Kendra Middleton alongside Sarah Griffin. As always, it has been 2 weeks since we recorded a show, so buckle up. This is probably going to be a pretty long one, especially since every sport is going on at the moment. So we have a lot to catch up on. Per usual, we will start with our high low hero, which is our high of the last week, our low of our last week, and our hero of our last week. But I guess it's 2 weeks since we've talked to you guys, so we're kind of just going to throw it all in here. Sarah, first off, how are we doing before we get into the HLH? Sorry, I forgot to ask.
Pretty good, busy, but definitely, kind of what I expected with the NHL season starting again, but good.
Yeah, I feel like this time of year, like if you work in sports, is just, it's awesome because like being busy is better than not being busy, and having sports is better than not having sports. But you just kind of, when you're so overwhelmed at first and you haven't really established like your routine for the season, even if you've done it 8 million times, even if you've never done it, you still have to establish some sort of like routine in your life. And that's like the hardest part about it sometimes.
Yeah, 1,000%. I've missed a couple of freelance deadlines, probably a few weeks ago, but just because one, NHL was starting and I'm back in my seasonal role, but also I'm at a full-time role now in something else that I'll eventually get into. I haven't officially announced that yet, but yeah. And then also just school in general. So it's been kind of a shit show figuring out, finding time for everything.
Had in our notes to say, I mean, I've said congratulations to you about the Flyers gig already, but if you are listening to the show and you didn't know that Sarah is doing some coverage for the Flyers now, congratulations, Sarah. And I love your new hair.
Thank you. Thank you.
It looks very good. I like it a lot. I think it's a positive change.
It is. It was much needed too. I could not continue to keep something blonde.
Yeah. And I feel like, it's fall, so it makes sense. It's like not as much work. You're so busy now that like you don't even want to have to think about it. And like now you can just kind of like let it rock.
Exactly.
How do you feel about like the lack of maintenance though? That's probably like a big relief.
Oh my God. It's like so much fucking nicer. Even my hairdresser said it. He's like, I'm sad. I'm not going to see you as often. I was like, I love you to death.
But I am not.
My wallet's not going to.
Yeah.
And also like I have to drive back to North Attleboro every time. And then like you have to buy like the special like shampoo, conditioner, do all the hair masks, all the hair treatment. And now I'm just like, whatever. And I've already started because like I was bleaching my hair. So it was like so much damage to it. So I've been doing like damage control the last couple of weeks. And already I can see a difference. And it's so nice.
I know. That was my thing. So I'm sure, I think you actually liked it on TikTok or something, but I was so stupid and tried one of those filters where it shows you as a brunette.
Yeah.
And I like fell in love with it. I was like, I love this. I want to do it so bad. But my mom talked me out of it because I too was bleaching my hair because my hair was like white because I was going through like that Daenerys Targaryen phase in college and stuff. So I was bleaching the fuck out of my hair. And I have spent the last 2 years growing it out. Like this is all my natural hair color. And I'm just like, as bad as I want to do it, I don't think that I can justify the amount of work I've put in getting my hair to get back to this.
Yeah, that's what my hairdresser said to me. He's like, just so you know, like once like all that's out and stuff, like it's going to be really hard to go back. Like you can't just waltz back in next summer and be like, actually, I do want to go back. But I'm like, no, like I do not have the energy or money to continue this.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, I like it. Congrats on the big change. Even like, I don't care if you're a guy and you listen to the show and you don't think like your hair change is a big deal. It's a big deal. Like girls get really attached to their hair, guys too. Like I am so attached to my hair.
Yeah, I was like sad at first because I did love the blonde so much, but it just feels so much better. Yeah, definitely better change.
Okay, well, what is your other highs of the last 2 weeks?
Okay, so my 2 highs, I'm actually going to the Bruins tonight. It's like my first night off. So I'm super excited about that. Also the new Taylor Swift album comes out at midnight tonight. So I'm excited about those 2 things.
Can we talk about how you're excited about the new Taylor Swift album coming out at midnight? And I'm like, yeah, the new Call of Duty game comes out today. That's
awesome. Like my sister's been texting me about like fucking like Grand Theft Auto. I was like, Lauren, I don't know what any of these words mean.
Okay, I will say this. Like, I think the last time, because we were recording together the last time the new Taylor something came out, I think it was like her rendition of Red or whatever.
Yeah.
I will listen to it if the whole thing is good, you'll have to let me know, but only if I should listen to certain songs, you'll let me know, because we've been through it. Like, I'm not the biggest Taylor Swift music fan or like Taylor Swift fan or whatever. It's like not a pick me thing. Like her music doesn't speak to me. But I will listen to it because I feel like anytime like there's anything that's online, we've talked about this before too. Like anytime anyone's talking about things, I feel left out, like not knowing.
Yeah, I did see, apparently, I don't know if you like Lorde. I'm a big Lorde fan.
Me too. Yes.
So this album's compared a lot, I guess, to Melodrama. And then also it received like a perfect score of 100 from the Independent. And they said it is very like melodrama-esque. And that's like one of my top 3 albums, I think, of all time. So I have very high expectations for this album.
Well, if that's true, like, I feel it's a good season for her to drop it then, because we're kind of entering like that part of the year, which would be nice, and it might like help me like it more.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right. Going to the Bruins and Taylor Swift album. Like to hear it. My high was coming home to my bed after a week of being in Wisconsin. Like, I truly did not appreciate it enough. And I think that I've decided to like upgrade my space a little bit and like put a TV back in my room, just because I realized like how much like comfort like being in your own bed kind of brings you after like
1,000%.
After like a really long week.
Yeah.
So I'm just like really thankful for the little things at the moment. That's for sure. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and say my low, just because it's very obvious. Like, my grandfather passed away. Like, I've been dealing with all of that. I have like a really serious appreciation for life right now. Like, it was super unexpected. It was like a medical malpractice situation. Thanks to everyone who's reached out to me over the last week or two. It's definitely been like crazy. And it's like, it's weird, like when you watch your parents like lose a parent, because you obviously like have those like tough conversations with your parents about like, okay, well, like they wanted this, like what would you potentially want, like how do you want to go through this and stuff like that. And it's like, my mom's a single mom, you know, like I'm her only kid, so it was just like very real to kind of have some of those conversations with my mom. And like, not that my mom and I aren't best friends already, but it's like I feel very close to her and like very appreciative for her right now. And it's just like I don't know, like whenever crazy things like this happen in life, I feel like you just have like a sad reason to appreciate it more, but I do.
No, I completely get that. Like, spot on.
Yeah. I will say, like, obviously it's not a funny situation, but it was kind of a funny situation because I was live on Twitch when my mom called to tell me that it happened, just because like we weren't really expecting it to happen.
Yeah.
So like the people who were on there, like that was kind like that's like my like dark sense of humor. Like, I think that that's kind of funny just because I share so much of my life with the internet that like, of course, like I would be like live, and my Twitch mod is awesome. So thanks to Caleb, but he actually like cut the stream so that people who weren't watching couldn't go back and like see my reaction, which was awesome. Shout out to him. He's the SNS guy. Yeah. So yeah, he was awesome. But yeah, like it was just kind of like I was like broadcasting on my phone and like my mom's calling. So I like answered my watch and I was like, hey, like, is this like something I should get off the stream for? And she was like, yeah. And she was like crying and like that sort of thing. And I was like, oh shit, like I gotta go. So
yeah,
it's like, I like to like kind of find like the funny moments and stuff like that, but I'm okay. Like for the people who reached out, like 85 is like, even though it was unexpected, like I feel like 85, you lived a good one, you know? Slay. So
big slay.
What was your low of the last? Oh wait, I didn't ask you your low. What are your lows?
Kind of just what I was saying earlier, just figure out work, school, seasonal depression all at one time. It just hasn't been great, but that's all right.
Yeah, I like it kind of threw me for like a loop that hockey and basketball are already back. Like it doesn't feel like it's already about to be cold again. I can't handle it.
It's just like brutal. There's like some days I work like 9 to 5 and then I have 1 hour and then I'm working 6 to 2. And I did that last week, like 5 or 6 days in a row. And I was like, I need to quit everything. Like I don't want to do the same. Like I had like a breakdown. I had last night off and then I have tonight off. Obviously I'm getting out of the apartment. That's the other thing, working from home. Like I feel so trapped in this fucking apartment.
Me too. The only times I was actually talking about this to one of my friends yesterday, it's like the only times that I leave my apartment is like when I'm doing something with Jackson. because I work from home most of the time. Like if I'm not somewhere like filming something or something like that, like, which is cool, like to be on location and stuff, but it's like 90% of the time I'm at home and I'm working so much that I don't have the energy to like leave my apartment. And I know that that doesn't help my mental, but like I should do it more, but I just don't.
Yeah, the last week, because I do like to like go on like runs and stuff. I'm like, I have a fucking hour of free time. Like I'm not using, like I'm using it to eat and like lay down. I don't know.
Maybe brush your hair, brush your teeth kind of thing.
Like not be disgusting.
Yeah. People don't get people who like all like who work full time and then also freelance on the side, like both of us. And then obviously like you can't quit like your passion projects and your hobbies either, because then otherwise you just become like a shell of a human being. So it's like finding that balance is really tough. And if you're going through it, like you are truly not alone. And please like don't forget that, because you're not.
I will say one of my professors emailed me because I was late on assignment. I'm never late with stuff. He's like, just like checking in. Is everything good? Like, he's like, I've noticed kind of drop off in your work. He's like, it's not bad or anything. But like, I was like, honestly, like everything has just like started at once for me in the last couple of weeks. So school's been kind of on the back burner, which isn't great to say, but it's like, I'm never really wanted to do stuff for school, like the day that it's due, but it's like, I'll be like, okay, this is due in 2 hours. I'm just starting it now, which I hate that, but I'm like, I just also need sleep. I don't know.
But at least you've like established that you are a hard worker and like you're present to the point where like they're noticing a drop off and it's not like you just never were performing.
Yeah. No, I appreciate him saying that. I was like, okay, good. I'm glad you've seen like what I actually like am capable of and not just like this girl's a bum.
And it's like, and it's cool when you can be vulnerable with professors like that, because it's like, yeah, dude, like I'm working like 2 or 3 jobs and I'm going to school. Like I'm doing my best here, but like, I appreciate you like looking out. Like professors like that, I am so like, I was so thankful for when I was in school, and I do not envy you in the fact that you still have homework. I could never. I was so bad in school. Like I was one of those people, I was always really present in class, like participated in class participation and stuff like that. But I did not give a fuck about homework because I was always working full-time, interning full-time, had a dog, like all that shit. So like kudos to you.
Yeah, no, I feel like if I wasn't working full-time, then I would like love the program I'm in, because it is so much like research and writing all the time, which is right up my alley, but I just don't have enough time to like invest in it as I probably should be. But that's another issue.
Yep. All right, what is your hero, milady?
This one might be a little dark.
We love it.
I put Klonopin, just
as you should. We keep it real around here. Honesty.
That's been the savior the last few weeks.
Dude, that's okay. Like truly, like I applaud you for saying that, because I think that there's a lot of stigma around like mental health and like getting through shit. Like if you feel like you need to be medicated or are medicated and you feel bad talking about it, don't. I'll be the first person to tell you, like if you're focusing on you and getting you right, do not ever feel guilty for that.
No, and obviously it's different for everyone, but like for me personally, it's been such a help. So definitely, if you're like you said, there's definitely stigma around it, but worth looking into, I'd say, just from personal experience.
Definitely. I applaud you this week, Sarah Griffin. My hero is like, I feel like, I don't know if it's like a karmic cycle that's going on in my life, or if like something with this eclipse is like coming up. If you're not a star slut, like fine, whatever, I am, don't shave me, or do, I don't really care. But like I've had 5 or 6 people who have like definitely done me wrong in like the last like 6 months or so of my life, like circle back around and either give me a really good apology or give me the opposite of a really good apology. And it's like, I just feel like finding out who the trash in your life is really, it's shitty sometimes, but like it's kind of awesome, because like not only are you like able to like move forward or like close a door or whatever, but it's like you can also like mend some of those relationships. Like I've had so many people like come back around these last couple days, and it's like it's been really hard and it's been a lot on me, but I think like at the end of the day, like it's a real positive.
Absolutely.
So
just for clarity's sake.
Oh my God. Yeah. And it's like, I respect people who like are able to like actually apologize and stuff like that. But like, I just like, I don't know, like things like this happen. It's just weird how whenever it does, it's not just like one person, it's like multiple.
Yeah. That's how it seemed to always usually go. They all come
Yeah.
like flooding in back at like the worst possible time.
Yeah. Or like it's always like a really, really good time where like you don't really want that like high to like come down at all, or like a really real low where it's like, okay, like I need to like not focus on where I'm at and like deal with this. So this is like a very like mental health focused opener, but like I feel like a lot of people need to hear this shit right now because a lot of my friends are going through it. So like if you take like one thing away from this episode or like this intro conversation, like you are valid, like so valid in your feelings.
1,000%. Yes.
So that being said, I guess we'll kind of move on into the rest of our show, our sports stuff. We always open with baseball. We didn't really talk a whole lot about baseball this year. We were way into baseball last year, but just because both of our teams like didn't really perform the way we thought they would. But I watch the postseason for every sport. Like I think that any sports fan does. I guess we can start with the Phillies. I love your Phillies note, and I've seen a lot of memes about it. So let's start there.
Yeah. So I put down that the Phillies, first off, I decided the Phillies are my postseason team just because after the Mariners got eliminated, I was like, okay, I guess. But either way, I'm like Phillies or Padres. Once it comes to the World Series, I'm good with either of those teams winning. I just don't want to see either of those AL team winnings. I do think the Phillies are a team of destiny. I don't love that they ripped off the Sox victory song. And I know everyone's like, oh, well, Kyle Schwarber brought it over. I'm like, okay, but they're just like, I don't know. Maybe it's just because last year was such like a fun postseason and that was such a big part of the Red Sox run. Now to see it again, I'm like, fuck you guys. Like, I'm cheering for you, but can you pick a different song?
Which my Snapchat memories today are us on the Green Monster, by the way, which tragic. But yeah, so I've seen a lot of people talking about that on Twitter, especially like kind of interacting with us. I know that you have like some of your mentions off and stuff, but because we're like, I would say like a secondary Philly, like Philadelphia podcast. Like we love Philly sports. Like it is what it is. If you want to get mad about that, then do it. I don't really give a shit. Like I love Philly sports. So like I'm all in on the Phillies, but some guy was like, I'm a Phillies fan and I think it's bullshit that we're ripping off the Red Sox. Why can't we be original and do our own shit? This is so lame, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I could not agree more.
Yeah, I did not see that mentioned, but exactly. Like I really do like the Phillies, but I like any other song. You can pick any other song. And again, I get it. Like Kyle Schwarber, does he know more music? Like there's so many options. That was literally last year.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, you could like there are so many songs you could use, literally anything. And you pick the one song that it's not even like the Red Sox just started doing it.
No. And like truthfully, like when you really listen to that song, it's not a celebratory song. So that just makes it even weird. Like I get like the remix of it, like is like upbeat, like dancing, whatever. But I'm like, the original's depressing as all hell. And I'm like, it's weird that the Red Sox even latched on to that, but I know it's because of Kevin Plawecki, like that was his like walk-up song, whatever. But I'm like, okay, that's their reason. Like Kevin Plawecki started it, and then like Phillies, you need like an actual emotional connection to it.
Yes, agree. So I put in our notes, the only other thing that I wanted to talk about in the NL is if someone told you at the beginning of the season that it would be the Padres and the Phillies, what would you have said?
I'm like, the Padres, okay, I could maybe see it. Like, yeah, like the Dodgers obviously are such a powerhouse that no one, but I'm like, the Padres had the roster. They made all these moves at the trade deadline that it's like, okay, like they went out and got Juan Soto. But the Phillies, when you think of the NL East, it was like, okay, who's going to come out of it? Is it going to be the Braves? Is it going to be the Mets? It's been a blood battle between the two. Like the Phillies didn't start off that great. You know, they had a tough started season. Everyone kind of wrote them off by like May. And then they just like glide on in through like the wild card. Now they're like 3 wins away from going to the World Series.
It's giving the New York Rangers for me. Like, I don't know why. It feels like that. I feel like I prefer the Phillies, obviously, but I don't care who makes it just because I have this in our notes too. We can kind of use this as a transition to talk about the AL. The Yankees versus the Astros could not be more boring. It feels like I'm choosing between Satan and the devil. And I just like, I don't fucking care.
Oh yeah, that's what I put. The vibes of the NLCS are so much better than the ALCS. I'm like, that is so boring. Like, I don't care to see Yankees Astros good. I hate both those teams. Like, yeah, I guess I want the Astros to come out of it, but that's just like, I hate
don't
the
think
fucking
I do.
Yankees. See, I just like I could never, ever pick
I
the
hate
Yankees.
I hate the Yankees. I really, really do. Like, they are my least favorite team. But also I think about it and I'm like, okay, and this is why the Yankees are my least favorite team in all of sports. But I'm almost like, I feel as though if Aaron Judge wins a World Series, it might even help the Red Sox like claim to get him, especially if they're not spending any money anywhere else. I don't think like, I think that it could help the Red Sox case.
Ugh, I hate the Yankees too much. I can never. No, I want the Astros to win, but then I want whoever in the NL to come out to beat them.
Yeah,
which
I agree.
who knows
Whoever
if that
comes
will
out of the
fucking
National
happen.
League, I'm in. But I don't know. Like, I feel like if here's my thing. Yeah, cool. If the Yankees win a World Series, that would fucking suck for everybody. But imagine the ultimate fuck you if Aaron Judge had the season that he did and then wins a World Series and fucking leaves.
I would like that, but I don't want Yankees fans to even be able to say, oh, well, at least we won one with Aaron Judge. I don't want them to have that satisfaction.
Okay. Hey, that's so valid. That is so valid. But yeah, I'm kind of just bored. Like, I'm looking for reasons to care. I really am. But like, outside of the National League, like, I don't care until the World Series. Like, I'm probably like, I'm just over it. Like, I'll keep up with the Yankees and Astros on my phone, but like, I just
kind of check on the scores.
Yeah. Like, I'll watch the Phillies games, like whatever.
I'll put on in the background, but
yeah. Like, the other night I had the Bruins on my TV, Celtics on my second TV, and then I had the baseball game on my computer. And it's like, I don't have the volume on for it, but like, I'll glance over at it.
Yeah, I like during intermissions of Bruins games, I'll like switch over just to see the score, but I just don't care.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's all I gotta say for baseball. I don't know if you have anything else to say.
Oh, just that Garrett Cole, he makes me laugh. I think he's a living meme. Everything about him's so funny to me. And like, it's not like, oh, funny, like he's a funny guy. Like, he's just funny to laugh at.
I can't remember why he was in the news the other day. Was it like a speech he gave her in the locker room or something?
And he's like,
Yes. And he sounds like Kermit the Frog. It's fucking unreal. Him and I have in our notes to talk about Russell Wilson later, but we can talk about it now. Those two are the cringiest dudes in sports.
Russell Wilson's he's the same exact deal. Like, just a living meme, so easy to laugh at. Like, you're not laughing with him, you're just laughing at him.
Dude, I'm not laughing with you at all. The other, like, they're so bad. And then when he gets up at the podium for like post-game press conferences and he's like, Broncos country, let's ride. Like, no matter what, it's like, just shut the fuck up. And then yesterday, that video that came out of him where he was saying he has Wolverine blood. What?
Jail.
I think Sierra should give Future a second chance.
That's what I'm like. I see all those memes that are like, this guy's the reason we can't listen to Future.
Yes.
Be like, they've got to be pissed.
I know. Someone tweeted the other day and I like quote tweeted. They were like, wrong answers only. What is he listening to? And I was like, I know it's not Future, but maybe it should be.
Yeah.
Like, something
to get some spark under him.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. He grinds my gears real bad.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about some football stuff. You have a football note, and I know that you have been keeping up with some NFL shit. So let's get into it, Sarah.
Yeah. Fly Eagles fly. Go Birds.
Yup. Our last episode was right before the Jags played the Eagles. We obviously had a really fucking miserable game if you're a Jags fan. So congratulations to Sarah. But the Eagles look fucking good. And I mean, the Eagles would be probably my second or third team outside of the Lions if the Jags went to London, just because I feel like I can't fully hop on the bandwagon. But you guys know we fucking love the Eagles. I'm happy for the Eagles. I'm happy for Jalen Hurts. Like, they're a fucking fun team to watch.
I fucking love Jalen Hurts. I've been on like such a spiral, just like getting like stalking every bit of his life. And like, the more I find out about this man, the more I'm just like in love.
Yeah. Oh, I meant to put that in our notes too. So Sarah sent me this the other day. I actually didn't know this. His like marketing team is all women.
Yeah, his entire management team, like his marketing, his social, his agent, like communications, everything.
That is so awesome.
And I was so annoyed because I saw some girl make a TikTok about it. And some like boy commented, was like, oh, like I heard Deshaun Watson's is too. And I was like going to like, I don't like to fight back with people, but I was like, this is just like so fucking annoying comment to make. I look at the replies to it and it's all like boys laughing, but then there's this one girl and she's like, OMG, I'm dead. I'm like, you fucking pick me ass bitch. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Fuck you, bitch. I do want to talk about TikTok comments for a second and shout out Sarah Siv. I laugh so hard at least once a week at Sarah Siv because I am so unhinged on TikTok. Like, it is the one social media that like I don't give a fuck how cringy I am. Like, I don't care. Like, TikTok is like my anti-safe space. And I will comment unhinged shit on people's TikToks for the fuck of it. And every once in a while, like especially when I'm high, like late at night, I forget that I do it. And then like once a week, a like on a fucking fucked up comment on someone's TikTok that I made, I'll get a like from Sarah Siv on that comment. And I'm like, I forget that people see these.
No, literally same. And it was because Sarah liked one of my comments on a TikTok and I was like, oh my God, like people are seeing what I'm writing. And like, usually it's just maybe like, love this or I love you. Like, just like the weirdest shit because I forget other people see though.
Dude, I forget people do too because I just get so high to go to bed at night. And then I see Sarah Siv liking my like unhinged ass comments, like talking shit to people on TikTok. And I'm like, I forget that people could see this and that this is not a burner because TikTok in general just feels like a giant burner.
Yeah, it really does.
So shout out Sarah Siv. I just want to like piggyback off of the Deshaun Watson thing because I have a note really quick. I just want to say like another fucking allegation came out against him. And I'm just like, okay, well, why is nobody talking about it?
Yeah.
Like
now it's just like a part of the news cycle at this point.
Yeah. I'm sick of talking about it. I'm like, and it sucks because like, I don't want to be sick about talking about it because as a woman, I'm like, this is fucking absurd, but it's like, how many times can we sit here and say the same things until we're blue in the face and nothing happens?
Yeah.
So if you didn't hear that news, now you did. We asked you guys on Twitter what you wanted to hear from us this week. And the big takeaways were Jags and Bruins stuff. So I have a pretty beyond in-depth Jags analysis that I'm going to give you guys. And then we're going to move into a couple other NFL thoughts and then we'll move on to hockey. Basically, I made a couple points of how I want to like wrap up where I'm at in the season. I've come to the conclusion that we might actually be bad because we beat ourselves against like unbelievably shitty teams. And then when we look good, we also somehow lose. So like we lost to the Commanders who fucking suck. Carson Wentz sucks. And now he's hurt, whatever. We beat a Colts team that never wins in Jacksonville. Awesome. Cool. It might be a fluke. We beat an injured Chargers team. I don't really take a dub from that because they're so fucking hurt. Like Justin Herbert was hurt. Keenan Allen's not playing. Like, fine, I'll take the win, but like, it's not a proud win of mine. We beat ourselves against the Eagles and we lost to the fucking Texans were their only win. And then we blew it against the Colts again. And I think coaching has been an issue. Like game planning, I think hasn't been the worst, but the play calling has been fucking terrible, especially last weekend. I don't know what the fuck Doug Peterson was doing, but I was literally about to throw my phone through my screen. I was so angry. Trevor fumbled the ball more than any player in a single game this century against the Eagles. This century, Sarah. Like, that's a fucking insane stat. And it was ugly. And the thing about it is that it was raining and you have a fucking top 10 in the league running back tandem. Like, James Robinson is fucking awesome and he's healthy. Travis Etienne, awesome. Quick feet, fast, healthy. It's fucking raining. Why are you not running the ball? It's like basically like we game planned without like the weather in mind, and we're just going to run the game plan that we had without taking the weather into consideration. And I get that Doug Peterson is like a quarterback minded coach, but it's like you have to take into consideration, one, your young quarterback is obviously struggling. 2, turnovers are an issue. 3, it's fucking raining like hell. Like it was the second like wind of Ian hitting that area. And it's like, why do you want to put the ball in the air? It's hard to throw. It's hard to catch. Keep the ball on the ground. You have a team that can do that. And then like, it just baffles my mind that they watched him struggle and continue to let him turn over the ball. And after that game in particular, a lot of people were calling Trevor Lawrence a bust. And it's like, I'm not really ready to use the word bust, but I like definitely am like having doubts. And it's like, it sucks that fans were sold on this. Fans were sold on this like tag of him being like a generational talent. Mm-hmm. And it's like, this isn't the first time we've seen a quarterback come into the NFL with all these fucking high ass expectations and not live up to them. It happens, I would say, pretty often. Like a lot of the quarterbacks in the league haven't come from being generationally talented tagged. Like a lot of them have come from smaller schools or whatever, or like weren't really highly ranked in the draft and they wind up being successful. Sure, there's a few that haven't been that way, but a lot of the times it goes that way. And so I'm having doubts. He had a good game last week, but he wasn't really asked to do anything outside of protecting the football. And I feel as though like Doug Peterson knows like Trevor's like mental struggle with the game, because he obviously like, how would you not, after fumbling the ball that many times and having that many turnovers, obviously not be feeling confident in yourself, which I think is why they had him have like a couple QB sneaks, a couple keepers for 2 TDs and a couple first downs on those like 3rd and short, on the goal line opportunities, 4th and shorts, whatever. I think he needed to get his confidence up with ball security. And I think that Doug knew that. And I am proud of them for running the ball and knowing that they could run the ball against the Colts. But then you get into the part where our defense didn't step up, and our defense has been the biggest part and the most successful part of this team so far. And it's like, Trayvon Walker had 2 penalties in back-to-back weeks that resulted in scoring drives, which were the difference makers in each loss. And regardless, like that's a discipline issue. Like I know he's a rookie. The first week, that penalty was so bad. And it caused a score. And last week, sure, that one wasn't as bad and you can call it a rookie mistake, whatever, but it's still back-to-back weeks. And that's a discipline issue in my mind, especially when both of those could have been a 3-and-out situation, 4-and-out situation, whatever. Instead, they resulted in scores. And then obviously Shaq Griffin also needed to be benched last week. And I think that that's also a coaching issue because there needs to be some accountability. And I hope that he is sat quite a bit this week. But that being said, when both sides of the ball are failing to get better each week, that's an issue for me because like you have to get better every week. I said heading into this season that like I wanted to win 6 or 7 games. I just wanted, and even if that's not the case, I just wanted them to get a little bit better every week. Mm-hmm. And I failed to see that happen. And it's like, how is the offense progressing and the defense is regressing, or the defense is progressing and the offense is regressing? Like you can't have that happen, especially with a young team. And now you're heading into the part of like the get right part of your schedule against a team and the Giants that is 5-1 and wasn't expected to be. And you're favored in this game and they aren't as good as their record's saying, and they're injured and you have to win this game. Like you do. And then you're headed to London where you play really well in London and it's against the Broncos who for some reason can't even put up a touchdown to save their life. And it gets back into the Russell Wilson conversation, which is like, I don't know what's going on with him, but when we came into this season, like we expected this to be the hard part of our schedule. And it's now the easy part of the schedule because the AFC West isn't what people thought it would be. The Raiders kind of stink. The Broncos are obviously bad. The Giants are better than people thought they would be, but I think they're fake good. So it's like, this has got to be the get right part of your season. And I just don't have the confidence in them to be able to do that because they can't get on the same page. Mm-hmm. And it's a winnable division and there's a rookie contract, which is why I don't think you could be doing these things right now. And I don't think it's a lot to ask to not drop these next 2 games, but you have to at least win one of them. And I have a feeling that they're going to beat the Giants and then lose to the Broncos in London. And I think that that's just terrible. My last thought is a lot of people are talking about like maybe them trading for DJ Moore or something like that. And I'm on the opposite end where I'm hoping that they don't make any moves through the trade deadline because I don't think that they have a ton of playoff hopes or aspirations, even though it's an easy division. I think that they should keep the picks that they have, keep the cap. The team's young enough to maybe make something happen the next year or more realistically the year after that. Or like, you have to save some sort of money and build for the future because you're either going to be paying to keep this defense together, or if Trevor can turn it around, you're going to be paying Trevor. So like, and I don't think that Trevor's going to turn it around enough for us to have to give him like Lamar Jackson money or Kyler money or whatever. Like, I just don't see that happening. Like, I think that he's maybe on another contract, like he's not going to get a Patrick Mahomes 10-year deal. Like it's not going to happen, you know? Do I think he can turn it around? Yeah, but he's definitely shooting himself in the foot a little bit as far as money goes. So it's like, you're going to have to shell out the money for the defense, keep the picks, keep the team young, keep them cheap, and maybe try and chase a 2024, whatever. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. That was long-winded, but a lot of people have been asking my thoughts, so I wanted to address it here. Sorry for the rant. Couple other things. I wanted to talk to you about the Bailey Zappi Mac Jones situation. So obviously, like, Sarah is an Eagles fan, but grew up a Patriots fan. And that's like something that we see a lot on our timeline here. I love how Patriots fans were so quick to turn on Mac Jones.
It's fucking hilarious.
I love it because you know that I'm not a Mac Jones fan, but I'm fucking here for it.
I'm like, you people will go to bat for Mac Jones any fucking chance you get. Then he gets injured, and like that, like we saw it happen. Like he was like crying off the field. Like that's tough. I'm kind of shocked that he's already back now. Like I know they said that he's starting this week, and I was like,
drama.
Okay. And immediately they're like, it's just like their brains. Like, nope, Bailey Zappi, he's a starter. He's proven himself, like, blah, 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 like, all this stuff. Like, what the fuck happened to, like, last month when you guys are like, Mac doesn't get enough respect. Like, he is one of the best. Like, he's going to be one of the best. Like, all this stuff. I'm like, and now Bailey Zappi, who none of you even knew who he was 2 weeks ago. And they're like, nope, that's our starter.
It's awesome. I just love the Patriots fans like, oh, a shiny new toy. Like, what? But like, I do know that Kraft favors him. I don't think that the coaching staff has like, I mean, I think that they're obviously going to stick with Mac Jones just because he's known the system for a year. And like, that's the obvious choice. Like he has the experience, but I do know Bob Kraft seems to favor Bailey. But the thing for me is that like when I tweeted this during the draft, I'm pretty sure I could go dig it up if somebody wants to. I tweeted when they drafted Bailey Zappi that people might not think that this is an issue for Mac Jones, but Mac Jones better watch his back because I think that Bailey Zappi absolutely could take over this team at some point if Matt comes back and doesn't perform because he's riding his back. You know, like Bailey Zappi had an insane, he had transferred to Western Kentucky for his last season and he broke all kinds of NCAA records. Like for yards, he broke Joe Burrow's single season touchdown record by like 3 touchdowns, like fucking lit it up. And it's like when you have a kid like that who came from a smaller school, transferred, fought his way to be a starter, and then had a season like that. And it's like, it's not like he's playing behind the best line in college football, the best receivers in college football, the best running backs in college football, like Mac Jones had the privilege to do. And now he's obviously on a team that doesn't have that much talent, but they're making the most of it because they have the coaching to do so. It's like, I just don't think that Mac Jones has that dog in him, as the kids are saying. So like, he better watch his back. And I was dying. Oh, go ahead. I have one more comment.
Have you seen all the drama with a fucking, and I know he put out an apology this morning, what's his name? Ben Bolin.
I know who he is, but I don't know what happened.
Oh my God. So he made this insane claim that like I think he said like the Patriots were out on Mac Jones and that they don't like him. Do you want to know why? He got an ego after he was sent to the Pro Bowl and he has not been the same since. And everyone's so like, funny. You just like blatantly made that up. Like that's the most insane shit. Of course, like so many like credible people are like, okay, like Mac Jones like doesn't like, yeah, he doesn't give much to the media, but like I can tell you right now, the Pro Bowl. And so Ben Bolin like tweeted this morning, like, I apologize for what I put out. Like that was not founded, like blah, blah, blah. And then everyone's like replying, like, you owe like Mac Jones an apology. You owe the organization apology. Like that's straight up slander. You just made that up.
I did not see that, but that's fucking funny. I was just my
like, the weirdest lie because it was like the Pro Bowl.
My only other comment about the Mac Jones situation was that I did not expect this tweet to get the reaction that it did, but I was covering the McCourty Bowl Monday night and I tweeted a video of him and Hunter Henry walking in. Hunter Henry was holding hands with his wife and Mac Jones was walking in with his girlfriend. And I don't know if it's Bill Belichick's daughter. I think it's his daughter. I'm not positive.
I think that's his daughter.
I think it's his daughter. And everyone was like either one making comments about how he was like walking and like, that's my QB1 or QB2 and tight end 1, like whatever. And then like all the other ones were like, he's my QB1 because he's got 2 dates or like he stole Zappi's date or whatever. Like the interaction of different Patriots fans on that tweet was like a sweet treat for fucking football fans. Like that was just like a clusterfuck of people and it was fucking not my intention, but I was laughing.
They are just unhinged. Unfucking hinged.
I just don't think because the Patriots have had 2 quarterbacks over like 30 years or something like that. I don't think that they know how to handle any sort of injury or controversy whatsoever.
And you would think, especially after the Cam Newton year, they'd be like, okay, well, you know what? Like, that was kind of like rock bottom. Like, we're building up, like, whatever. You would think they would have that like sense, especially being a Boston sports fan, not like saying like, oh, like Boston's everyone, but like the Patriots have been such like the big powerhouse amongst the four. But then you look at like the Bruins and Celtics, it's not like they've had like great years on great years. So I'm just like, you guys understand how these things work. You're not going to contend every fucking year. You're not going to be the best, especially not when you lose Tom Brady and then you're kind of in this quarterback situation. Now you do have Mac Jones, who like definitely still has a lot to learn and has a long way to go. But like, oh my God, you would think like literally they're like, okay, Bailey's out. Like you said, like a shiny new toy comes in and there's like the fucking like Woody Toy Story. And like, I'm done playing with you now.
Yes. It's so funny. I do think though, like just because, and I feel this way about like the Dak Prescott situation, like he's coming back this week, but because like they were being like really successful with Cooper Rush and because the Patriots obviously have found success with Bailey Zappi, like I don't think in those situations you should rush your quarterbacks back.
No, like I completely understand why people are like, well, why don't we continue to ride with Zappi just for the time being? Just because it still was at the beginning of this week questionable if Mac was going to play this week. So it's like, all right, clearly he's not at 100. Like Zappi's working.
Yeah.
I even still think Mac's the better quarterback, but like, why not?
Same. And I think that like he's the best quarterback in the situation right now if he's healthy. But even in that video I posted the other night, he's still very clearly favoring one ankle over the other, just walking around. And it's like, I don't think a Toradol shot is worth whatever damage you're going to put on it if you guys aren't in like that dire of a situation anyway. And to be honest, I wouldn't, sorry, my reminder's going off. I wouldn't put him in a situation to further injure himself when they don't, and I get that like teams at whatever point in the season don't really think this way until like God knows when, but in the division they're in, like honestly, your playoff hopes are probably pretty dead right about now.
Yeah, it's so tough to tell, but yeah, just the division is so their specific division. Why risk putting Mac at more of an injury because he is your long-term guy? Yeah.
And maybe, you know, that might change. It might not, but I think that Mac Jones does have to watch his back a little bit just in case, especially if he comes back injured and like has a bad game, has some turnovers, like the fans are really going to turn on him. And then somebody like might be giving him first team reps. Who knows?
Oh, well, I'm like, first of all, Brian Hoyer's got to be like punching the air. Like that, like, fuck me. But also, if Mac has a bad game this weekend, Twitter is going to be so hilarious.
I'm going to be the Kermit meme where he's like,
how quickly they're all going to turn and be like, get the fuck out of here.
My B-reel's going off, so smile. I had to do that. Sorry. That was basic, but whatever. But yeah, so I think, I don't know, man. It's not that I'm praying on Mac Jones' downfall, but I'm kind of praying on Mac Jones' downfall.
I just like the drama.
Me too. And I just like, and I know that we have so many New England listeners and I'm so sorry, but like, I kind of am enjoying watching you people suffer a little bit. Like I'm not
silly. It's so silly.
The Toy Story meme is a good one. I do like that. Couple other quick comments before I make some college football and we get into hockey. Did you see Devontae Adams shoving that cameraman?
Yes.
Okay. What are your thoughts about it?
I will say I thought his apology was very good. I'm glad he took complete responsibility. It was like a heated moment, but like still completely took responsibility. But also I know the cameraman is pressing charges as he should.
Yeah.
Like he was just trying to do his job. He did not do anything. And also, okay, like that, in that case, like you'd be a fool not to press charges.
Well, I disagree with you actually, because I don't think that the apology he put out was genuine because he tried to like kind of blame the cameraman a little bit. And it's like, you can't tell me that you did not see a guy who was already standing there with a large piece of equipment in front of you. And it's not like you bumped into him. You full on shoved the guy with equipment that is not only expensive, but heavy. And I just like, my thing is it's like, it, even if you were in the heat of the moment, whatever, that would probably happen more often if that were true, or he was, whatever. But imagine if a member of the staff put their hands on him, what would be happening right now?
Yeah, that's also very true.
Like, if anyone on staff put their hands on a football player that way, it would be the fucking end of the world. And okay, if you realize that you fucked up, why didn't you apologize or help him up in that moment?
Yeah. That was not a good look. And I
No.
hope that guy gets the bag from him.
Me too. It's like, I like Devontae, and do I think that it was probably a heat of the moment exchange? Absolutely. But as someone who is a reporter and works on the sidelines and in the industry and stuff like that, I care for my camera guys. I'll go to bat for my camera guys. They're there doing their job, making you look good on TV. And without those guys, the game doesn't happen. So, you're out there doing your job the same way he's out there doing his. He's not making your life harder. Don't put physical harm. Don't put your hands on anybody. That, like, you know what I mean?
Just like general thumb, don't be doing that to anyone.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, do I think Devontae deep down's a good guy? Yeah. Do I think that he obviously meant to do that? No, he was probably just pissed off. But like, I hope the guy gets the bag too. Like, you gotta reap what you sow, dude.
Yeah.
I think I have two more comments. One, I want to talk about the concussion protocol stuff really quick, just because that's been another point of emphasis. Tua Tagovailoa is coming back this week. I don't think that he should play again this season.
No.
But I've been watching his press conferences, and he did say that he doesn't remember being carted off the field, and he remembers some stuff from the hospital. But it's like, one, why wasn't his original concussion taken more seriously? Two, why did it take all of this for us to get the concussion protocol stuff that we are getting now? And three, I feel like the concussion protocol stuff is being taken too far to a certain extent. Not that you can take it too far, but it's really fucking up the game a little bit, just because it's now like basically the Tua rule,
See, I don't know if everyone knows this, but so I have a bone disorder in my skull. So I'm super, super prone to concussions. Like, and I got a concussion. That's how I fractured my skull, actually, like my sophomore year of college. Like, typically would have just been like whatever bump, but because I do have that, I'm more prone to concussions, more prone to fractures. So I had to go through like a whole like thing just about like basically skull safety. And like, that's why like I can never do another contact sport, whatever, like all this stuff. And they were like telling me, they're like, yeah, like, basically, and they use the example of a football player. They're like, that type of impact, like if you get one concussion and then you get another one, he's like, that's why CT. Then he's like, but the thing with football, he's like, it's so many untreated concussions. Because for a while, like I had a couple concussions that were just left completely untreated. And he was like, same thing can happen. You just continue to get those and they're going to get worse. So then if you get even one like minor hit to the head, it could be like, that's it, like deadly. Yeah. And the fact that the NFL of all like did not have like this like set policy, set standards for that, it's fucking insane.
Insane. My thing is it's like, that players are going to lie when they go through concussion testing, especially a quarterback or an impact player, because one, they want to play. They want to help their team. That's how they get their paycheck. They don't want to be out long term. A lot of these guys are fighting for a contract, like Tua Tagovailoa. He's got to have a good season to earn a contract. They're ahead of their division. They're playing really well. He knows the team needs him. So they're going to lie. So it's like, how do we not just make these concussion protocols so insane, but protect players by one, keeping them safe and noticing signs, but two, making sure that they feel comfortable not lying and risking their further mental health? Because what I can tell you is that Tua's going to play this season and he's going to take a couple more nasty hits. And God forbid, like hopefully he doesn't get concussed again. God fucking forbid. But even if that doesn't happen, like I said, God forbid, I see a lawsuit of the ages coming against the NFL from him when he is, in his 50s, 60s, whatever, because that's one diddle that cannot be undid, home skillet.
Yeah, no, going off what you said, like, even if he doesn't get a concussion again, like just one, like him stepping on the field, it's a liability, not just for him, but for the league. And not that I'm thinking like, oh, like, gotta save the league's ass. But like you said, like once he's out of the league, like he has more than enough grounds already for a gigantic lawsuit against them. And we're seeing it all play out in real time.
Especially because like once they fired that trainer or whatever, like that's
Yeah.
ground zero. Like it's fucking free range at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so last comment I want to make, and then I'm going to quickly, we'll go to hockey stuff and come back to football just because we talked a lot of football. So we'll go hockey and come back to college football. I just want to say the trade deadline's coming up, and the biggest story that I've noticed is that Christian McCaffrey, it seems that the Panthers are like selling everything, clearing house, like top to bottom, players, everything. And the Bills seem as though they might be potentially a favorite, which, as if they weren't my Super Bowl favorites already, that would definitely make them my Super Bowl favorites. But it just makes me realize that the cap is fake and the rich get richer. And I don't know, are the Bills becoming a fucking super team?
We'll see.
So that's all I got there. We'll come back to some college football stuff in a second. Let's move into NLL, PLL stuff, and then NHL, and I'll circle back. So we have 2 NLL notes. I will let you start with your first one.
Yeah, just super quick. There's not a ton of lacrosse stuff going on right now. Training camp starting up at the end of the month for some teams. Pretty much all the rosters, like all free agency moves are done at this point. There's a couple like last minute signings, but for the most part, those are all done. So now we're just going to kind of see as teams go into training camp. I think Buffalo, I know, is starting up at the end of this month. Just kind of because there was a lot of changes this off season.
Yeah,
in terms of
I feel like we talked about it a lot.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see what the finalized roster is going to look like. Then also, I call this the biggest move of the offseason. Congrats to Mackie on her role with Halifax as the communications manager and a sideline reporter for the Thunderbirds. I actually am making a trip up to Halifax, which will be interesting. So.
I am so happy for her. Like she deserves it more than anybody ever. Yes. Like, and she doesn't even, that's the thing is like, not to like rat Mackie out. I know that she's like a little like nervous about it and stuff like that, but I can't think of anyone who's more deserving or more prepared for this than her. Like when she was doing those calls by herself, like if you can do that, girl, you can ask some questions on the sideline. Like I'm so happy for her, so proud of her. Like she's really changing shit in women, like in the women's sphere of covering lacrosse. And I just feel like I have chills right now. I feel so blessed to be friends with Mackie.
Yeah, I think she is the most like exciting like lacrosse media like up and coming person.
Me too. 1000%. I cannot say enough
powerhouse.
Nice things. I cannot say enough nice things about her. She knows her shit. She's funny. Like she's the sweetest girl ever. Like I'm so proud of her and I'm so happy for her. And I'm glad that you put that on our notes.
Yes. Mackie Stan Club always. We definitely will have to have her on again.
Yeah. Maybe before the season, we can do like a crossover episode, kind of get her to preview some stuff. That would be fun.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, NHL stuff. Let's start with the Bruins because we got a lot of questions about that on Twitter. Sarah, I am happy for you, but let's go.
Okay. Well, I know I said probably like the last few months, I was like, no, Bruins are not going to trick me. They're not going to get me in. I've seen enough. I'm all in.
Yep.
They look so fucking good, and they are without Brad Marchand. They're without Charlie McAvoy. They're without Matt Grzelcyk. Brandon Carlo's out. Jake DeBrusk. Well, I'll get more into Jake DeBrusk, but the check line of Krejci, Pasta, and Pavel Zacha, chef's kiss. I fucking love the Czechs. I love the Czech Republic.
So I know that like we have a ton of notes to talk about for hockey. But I think my first like thing that I want to talk about was the Jim Montgomery move like the best thing that could have happened for this team?
I really like the style of hockey that Jim Montgomery's putting out there.
Me too.
I know he said he's like, yeah, and I want to play the youth more. And we're kind of seeing those like Jack Studnicka's in the lineup tonight for the first time this season. And I really like this comment from Jim Montgomery. He was like, I know there's a lot of frustration on Studnicka's end because like I was saying like, yeah, we're going to play the young guys and he hasn't been playing. He's like, I want him to get his opportunity and then go out there and give me a reason to never take him out of the lineup again.
Yes. Yes. That was my issue.
Energy needed.
That was my issue with Bruce Cassidy was it felt like he had like something out for the young guys.
It was like he would throw them in like this random game, like day up, they'd be fourth line, they'd get like 7 minutes on ice. And then you just like, well, you had this one turnover or you fucked up like on this like line change. And then you didn't see it again for like 40 games.
That's the thing is like these young guys, in order to reach their potential, in my opinion, need to play with the older guys and they need to play with the best of the best. You have that on your team right now. And if you can get that for that kid and he can learn from them and get some experience, you're building your future to maybe even be better than it was when they were winning a Stanley Cup. Like you have the ability to do that. And if you can do that with young guys and you give those young guys those opportunities, and the worst thing that could happen is you're right back where you were, you know, like give those young guys opportunities to play with good guys and you might get some good out of it. And I really appreciate that he's willing to do that because it seems like that might be something that was missing all along.
1,000%. Yeah. I really like his coaching style. And I feel like obviously, you know, you never know how these coaching changes are going to go. It really feels like all these guys are buying into it. Like obviously, you know, like the Bergerons, like the Felinos, they're going to buy into it. But I will say, Foligno, what I really like, he's looked so much better just in these first 4 games. You know, I was very iffy. I kind of didn't love that. I was like, you're going to play the youth, but then like you put Foligno on waivers and then bring him back up because no one claims him. Like, I get he's a veteran, like super respectable, but I was like, he just was kind of like a waste for this team last year. He's looked so good this year. I think he's really taken on that role as a 4th liner. I know he's he's a good presence in the locker room and a good veteran leader. But he's just looked so much better, and really just having him be like playing a good game on your 4th line just balances everything out so much. You know, that top line I think looks really good, and that's without Marchand. Once he comes back, I'm like that top 6 is insane. And then you just have so many like young guys. I love AJ Greer. I think he's been such a like sneaky good addition to this team, and I know he loves being a Bruin, so you love seeing that. But again, my biggest thing, just because we have talked about Jake DeBrusk so much, Jake DeBrusk is playing some of the best hockey of his fucking life. And I could not be more happy for someone.
We have been on the fucking Jake DeBrusk bandwagon since the beginning. And I want people to know that. And I will not shut the fuck up about it. I see that you gatekeeping the Jake DeBrusk bandwagon, and I am with you because a bunch of my girlfriends have been going to Bruins games lately, and they'll text me about it and like be like, oh, you know, like who, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't care what you know about the Bruins. All you need to know is that you love Jake DeBrusk and you stand Jake DeBrusk. I don't give a fuck about anything else at all.
Well, so Tony Maz, we all know how we feel about, their sports cover or their hockey coverage in general.
Yes.
But he made a tweet the other day, and I never go at anyone on Twitter. Definitely not him, because I don't want to deal with the fallout of those people. But he made a comment. He's like, Jake DeBrusk looks like a completely different hockey player. So I quoted it was like, maybe try watching more than 1 game per season.
I saw this and I did like it.
I'm like, Jake DeBrusk has been a good player. Okay. He's been a good player. Yes, he's a streaky player. But that's all a combination of Bruce Cassidy. Again, not put the entire blame on Bruce Cassidy. I think there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff. I know it sounds like DeBrusk was never really like mentally fully there. But
accountability has to be at some point though.
Play him on his offside, you know, flip-flopping him all throughout the lines, healthy scratching him like more than anyone else. Like then he also had injuries like on top of everything. And like, but when Jake DeBrusk is like on, like he is a top 6 for this team.
Yeah.
And that's why it was so important, I think, that he didn't end up getting traded, as so many people were calling for.
Yep.
And so many people were expecting, because now it's like you have this guy who's fully back on board, like is such a contributor to this team, such a consistent.
They're using him properly.
Yeah. And I'm like, if you want to make a run at the cup, like Jake DeBrusk is an important part of that.
Big part of that. So I know that you try to avoid the smoke with people as much as possible, but I have to say that I love this, Sarah. I love when you like go at people because you're right and you know your shit. And honestly, like if you're going to give it to anybody, I'm glad that it's those guys, because 1, their hockey coverage sucks. And 2, we've been screaming it for a year and a half now. Fucking hire a girl.
And I'm like, it doesn't have to be like some like big name, just get some other voices in there, especially if you're going to try and talk hockey. Like,
I don't care if they're doing rejoins for commercials. I don't give a fuck. Like, it doesn't even if you don't hire a girl at all, at least hire someone for hockey, but like a girl would be, you know, cool and diverse in your fucking workplace.
But I'm just like, it pains me because they ride off the fact like, oh, like Maz covered the Bruins in 2000. I'm like, okay.
So did
And
Felger.
that
Like
makes him
Felger used to
qualified for life.
Felger used to be the Bruins guy, but it's like you guys
Okay.
you guys are Patriots and Celtics people now.
Yeah.
And everyone knows that. And and I will say their Patriots and Celtics coverage, I listen to it. I like it. They're very educated and they have good takes. But when Mike Felger is the voice of the Bruins logic in fucking Boston, that's a problem because he's covering the team like he would have 10 years ago and like nothing changed.
Yeah.
So
and like you could already tell, like at that game at Ottawa, like Swayman had a bad game. Like he was the first one to say, like, I'm going to make it up to my teammates, but all of a sudden it's like, oh, Swayman, like blah, blah, blah. It's like the same thing with like fucking Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi. I'm like, no, like you guys don't understand how these things work. If you're going to talk hockey, you have to like accept, okay, your goaltender's they're going to have a bad game every once in a while. That does not make Swayman any less of a good goaltender. Like the Bruins have one of the best goaltending tandems in the league. Easily.
Yes, we've said this.
Goaltending's not an issue for them.
No, and it wasn't last year either.
No, which is why when people were like, oh, with like, God knows I fucking love Tuukka, but they're like, oh, why can't we send Linus Ullmark down? I'm like, you need Ullmark. You need him.
And you can't.
Yeah, I'm like, you literally just like cap wise and contract wise, he cannot be sent down.
No,
they don't grasp that.
Or when people were saying he should be traded last year, but he has like a no trade clause.
Yeah,
like shut the fuck up. Shut up.
Just read, like, do an ounce of research before you make these insane claims. And again, God, imagine if we didn't have Ullmark right now, who the fuck we would have. It would have been some random from the draft or like bottom of the barrel trade at the deadline. Again,
or somebody from fucking Providence that doesn't need to be called up.
Yeah, has had no experience up yet, which they don't need experience up right now because we have such a good goalie tandem.
Yeah. So my last Bruins question for you before we move into your Flyers notes. The defense was obviously the biggest issue for us in the postseason last year, / towards like the end of the stretch of the season. Like that was our concern as the team headed into like kind of free agency in the off season and that kind of stuff. Where are you at as far as your feelings in the first few games about the changes that they've made and their development and the coaching on the defense in particular?
I think so with the defense this year, clearly it's tough to tell because you are without McAvoy and Grzelcyk and Carlo now. I will say I have to give a shout out to Connor Clifton. I've always been very harsh on him. I think he looks really good this year.
Okay.
He's looked very good this year, and I think he's stepped up because he knows he has to step up.
Quinnipiac
He's been someone
King.
that I've always been like trade bait. Like I don't really care for Connor Clifton's game. I like his style of hockey when he's getting physical, but I think he takes a lot of dumb penalties and makes a lot of stupid moves at times. But I think he's really starting to like, I mean, what's now his, I think he made his debut in 2019. So he's been in the league now for a few years, and it seems like he's starting to like really like figure out those type of things. And again, he's stepped up. I think I always thought it was very weird when Mike Riley was placed on waivers a couple weeks ago, because I think Mike Riley's very underrated. His stats don't really paint him as a very solid defenseman. I think Mike Riley's pretty solid. You don't love having
I don't dislike him at all.
And Riley on the top, or not top, but Riley's up there with Lindholm on the top pairing right now. But I'm like, that's not forever. It's just right now without McAvoy. I think Hampus Lindholm looks great. He's exactly what I thought he was going to be.
Yeah, I was going to say he's been like kind of what he was promised to be, which I think is like the best case scenario.
Yeah, especially given the fact that, like, okay, we're going to give you this like 7-year contract after he had never even played a game with the Bruins. Definitely a risk, but I think it was a very important investment, especially when you do have McAvoy locked up too. And
he feels valued and appreciated, which I think is an undervalued aspect of sports.
Yeah. I think Hampus Lindholm is so fucking cute. I love Hampus Lindholm.
Yeah.
And then Derek Forbort, another one, looked great, I think. I think these last couple years, he's another guy
that hard on him too.
Under the radar, but he's very good. And again, another one that stepped up like Clifton.
We were very hard on him towards the end of last season. So, And like, that's the thing. I will say, working in sports media, it's a little tough sometimes. And I feel like any level of sports media can agree with this. There are times where you have to be hard on people. And I think it's okay for players to prove the media wrong. Like, that's what I want you to do. Like, I think people think that reporters and analysts and stuff like that always want to be right. And it's like, no, I'm pro player. Like, I would love for you to prove me wrong, but my job is to currently cover you and what's currently happening. And I'm going to be honest about it. But I love when players like kind of make people question what they said ahead of time. Like, especially with like Tony Maz and fucking Jake DeBrusque or like whoever with whoever. Like, I enjoy that about sports. Like, I want players to do well. I want players to earn money. I want them to have good careers. And I think that that's like the negative side of it sometimes, is that part of your job is to be harsh on people. But it's like, I'm happy for guys like that, because not only are you maybe having like a second wind of your career, but like you're giving me something to circle back on. And I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel with Nick Foligno, because I really was like, get this man off my team. I respect his career. I respect him as like a veteran leader. Like, there is no place for him on this roster. But, he's proven everyone wrong. Like, he's looked really good. And I'm glad that he's assimilated into that role as the fourth line, especially now that we do know like Jim Montgomery's like, I'm going to play a lot of young guys. I think it's important to have a guy like that on the fourth line. So those like, okay, here's a guy who's been in the league for so long now.
Yeah. All right, Flyers notes. What you got, girl?
Okay, well, when I wrote these notes at the time, the Flyers were undefeated. They lost last night. I kind of just assumed they would lose last night. They were playing the second half of a back-to-back. They won against the Tampa Bay Lightning on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Last night they had to play the Florida Panthers, and the Panthers looked really fucking good. I don't know if it's going to be the same situation as last year where they are fucking powerhouse all season and then choke in the playoffs, but also like now they have Matthew Tkachuk, so that's a huge addition. They're really scary. But I will say, I like wrote it in my article the other day, very like optimistic about this Flyers team. Not that I think they're going to make the playoffs. I made that very clear. I'm like, if the Flyers finish above 500 or even at 500, I don't consider that a successful season.
I was just going to say, coming from where they were last year, like, I think that the only way that they could go was up. And like, it's weird for me because towards the end of last season, I was kind of checking out their farm system. And it's like, I don't think that, no, but it's like, I don't know where this came from.
And I like, say what you will about John Tortorella. I know he's a very like polarizing figure.
Human.
He is exactly what this Flyers team needed. I know, like, speaking like player wise, like he's not someone that's ever going to probably be your favorite coach, but they did put an emphasis to like, again, like that typical Tortorella, like it was a hard training camp, like conditioning wise, like we're definitely physically fit. He's like, I think it was Kevin Hayes said, he's like, everyone's working really hard because you don't have a choice. If you don't work hard for those full 60 minutes of the game and you don't work hard in practice, you don't work hard in training camp, he's not going to play you. You're not going to see the ice. And Tortorella, like Montgomery, was like, I'm going to play the young guys. Like, they have so many young guys to the point where it's like, you don't know what direction they're going in because they have so many like young inexperienced players who it's like, okay, this isn't really an NHL roster right now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think the biggest difference I've seen from them is that they can play a full 60 minutes. They've came in their 3 wins. They came from behind in all 3 of them. Last year, if the other team scored first, the Flyers only won 5 games all year. And then they lost 36 of those games in regulation. I think it was 4 in overtime if the other team scored first. So already off to a better start in that sense. I think Carter Hart, again, it's a small sample size. I think if he could stay healthy, he looks a lot better than he did last year. I mean, again, 3 starts, not much you can go off of, but I know is a polarizing figure for Flyers fans because they have had so many goaltending issues over the years that there's never that one set guy. And it's kind of like what you mentioned with like NFL, like quarterbacks, like there's so many guys that come in all hyped up, like, oh yeah, this guy could be a Vezina winner in the NHL, and then they just don't perform up to standards. And I just don't think that's fair.
Yeah. I think it's kind of similar to like, and I don't think that Torts and Bruce Cassidy are comparable by any means, but like, I think that both teams last year kind of had the issue with like not playing young talent. And by getting rid of Bruce Cassidy, you kind of eliminated that option, and now young guys are going to be getting some turns. And it's like the same thing with the Flyers, and it's like I think the same thing with the Bruins that I do with the Flyers. Your young guys, if they can come out and like have an adrenaline game and turn something around, build your future a little better, like I'm all for that. And I like that people are, even if you know you're a starter, like I think that you should always be looking over your shoulder. And I like that about Tortorella, is that like I feel like he doesn't care who you are. If somebody else he thinks is deserving of getting ice time, that's who he's going to play. And I like that mentality, even if he is kind of that, like you said, polarizing human.
Yeah. And I think that's something that's so important, because Tortorella is this polarizing human, that you have your veterans, especially with this Flyers team, because they don't have a ton of veterans. Like it is a majority of young guys, but it's so important that those veterans do buy into what he's selling. And like TK already is off to a way better start. And like, I know he's another one, like in Philadelphia, they're like, oh, like, it doesn't seem like he wants to be here. Like seems miserable, all this stuff. Like he's looked really, really good. Kevin Hayes has had nothing but good things to say. And I know people are trying to like spin the whole thing that, because I think Kevin Hayes had the A last year after obviously Claude Giroux was traded, but then Tortorella took away the A's from everyone. He's like, we are not going to name a captain yet. And people are upset about that because Kevin Hayes, obviously he's a Boston guy. Like everyone loves Kevin Hayes. They're like, he's a veteran. Like, why would you take the A from him? I just think the whole thing, like, I don't think it was a dig at him. I think it's Tortorella's coming in as like, this is a complete reset. Like what was going on last year is not happening again.
Yeah.
Like you're going to earn everything. Nothing's going to be handed out. I don't hate that move.
Me either. I think that that's phenomenal coaching, if you ask me. Earn
like
it.
Cam Atkinson, another veteran guy who's like, last year the clubhouse had a like country club feel to it. He's like, that's not what anyone wants. And already like completely different environment. I think that's so key when you're developing so many young players, that they not just like, okay, no one gives a fuck. Like I can do whatever I want. Like there's a lot more structure, and like you have that fire under your ass, because you know, if you're not working 200%, you're not going to ever see playing time.
Especially because it's not like you're coming in to like a Bolts team or a Hurricanes team or something like that. Like you're coming into a bottom of the barrel team. I don't really give a fuck who you are.
There's so much opportunity.
Yeah. Before we move on from the Flyer stuff, I just have to say, I think it's safe that we are now a Philly sports podcast at this point. Like, are we just going to start covering the Sixers too? Like,
I'm like, we just got to integrate like Boston, Jacksonville, and now Philly all in one.
Yeah, fuck it. All right. What you got next, girl?
I'm sorry. I put David Quinn as not him.
Oh, I missed that. Oh, man. Do you feel bad for him?
To an extent, I do. I mean, I don't know. He butchered that Rangers team. And it's not like he had the talent that he did that the Rangers have now. Mm-hmm. You know, I didn't love him with BU. And now like the Sharks, again, it's not like you're walking in like, all right, here's, I don't know, the Calgary Flames or something, like this top tier team.
I just am
like
so
0 for 4, 0 for 5 to start. That's brutal.
I don't even want to watch the games, like, especially because they're mostly West Coast games. Like, yeah, why so the late. Fuck, dude, why would I stay up for this?
No.
Like,
well, I was like looking at the Flyers schedule. I actually have it up right now. And like their next game Saturday at Nashville. But then Sunday they're playing, again, it's a back-to-back. I'm like, well, they're playing the Sharks. So like, they might not. I was like, that could be a good, like, get back on track. You know, when you're like looking as a Philadelphia Flyers person at, oh, the Sharks could be a good get right game.
I know. It sucks. Yeah. And it's like, here's the thing. Like, I want to feel bad for him because I do know that it's not completely his fault. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm just like, it's hard for me to feel bad for him because I'm sitting here on the receiving end of it.
I feel like it's just weird because the Sharks, like, again, they weren't this top contending team last year either, but they had like flashes of like, okay, this is exciting for the future. Like this guy could be someone. Like there's been nothing exciting from what I've seen.
No, literally nothing. And it's like, I don't even have any hope. Like, I feel like we're kind of at the point where we even are going to get rid of Timo.
Oh, that would be awful. But also like, I don't know. Like it kind of does seem like that.
He has value, you know, like something's got to happen. And it's like, okay, well now you have a new coach. And it's like, if he wants to kind of sell the ship, you got to let him, because it's now his team and you gave him the reins. Like, you can't really be like, you can keep what we used to have for your idea of a rebuild. Like, you can't do that, you know?
Oh,
So it's like, he's like pretty much the only thing we have of value at the moment. Like, we traded, what's his name, Middleton last year to like fucking Minnesota. He had like a small amount of value. And it's like, I don't see them getting rid of anybody else. All of our big guys are gone, like, or close to it. Like, that's fucking it. That's it.
yeah. Sharks are, oh.
I just pray to God, like, and I'm so thankful for the Bucks, but I stuck through all of that for my entire life. Can one of my fucking teams just have a winning fucking season? Like, I don't think I'm asking for a whole lot. Like, I'm in it. Like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I'm so angry. Like, with the Giants fucking sucking, not only the Sharks going through what they're going through and us probably having to get rid of everybody, but it's like all the fucking drama going on with them now. And then the Jags suck and can't seem to get it right. We went through the fucking Urban Meyer bullshit last year. And now, I mean, the Bucks are like my only saving grace. That's it. Yeah. And it's like, I waited 25 years for that. They were the laughing stock of the league my entire childhood. Like, I fucking earned that. And now I'm just like, ugh, I hate it. It's driving me fucking nuts. Ugh. Okay. Anyways, moving on before I get even more angry.
I didn't have any like big, well, I do have my Stanley Cup pick, but I'll save that for a little bit. Okay. The Canucks have blown a lead in all 4 of their games.
I did not know
they
that.
are 0-3-1. They've blown a lead in every single one of their games.
I mean, that's obviously a problem. Obviously, like, that's not even a question, but it's like, how do you manage that? And then 2, how do you recover from that? That's
the thing. I'm like, that's not even like something you can like go over and practice and be like, yeah, you can pick up like specific moments on the ice where things started melting down. But if you're blowing all 4 leads, that's like a mentality issue.
Yeah, like, and honestly, it's a coaching issue too. Like, that's a coaching issue. Like,
that's
whoever, like,
really bad.
I haven't watched any of their games because I mostly been watching Sharks when I'm up, Bruins, Flyers because of you, and the Canes and the Bolts. Yeah. But it's like, how do you not make some sort of adjustment or accountability or whatever? Because, like, I know that this is crazy to say, but if my team was doing that, I would be like, all right, young guys, this is your fucking time to shine. Like, you go out there and run this fucking team. You can sit on the bench if you have had any sort of contribution in this.
It's just like the Canucks have a good roster.
Great roster.
That you like, yeah, you're not like, I don't think you're guaranteed lock for the playoffs by any means because the Canucks are going to Canuck, but like they have the potential on their roster right this second. And I'm like, hopefully this is just a tough start and they're going to turn it around and things get better. But I'm like, that is not good. Like, just team mentality wise to start off your season, not just 0-4, but 0-4 because you blew a lead in all 4 games.
Can I just say that I have wanted so much more for Brock Besser in his career?
Yeah.
Truly. He does not deserve this.
He deserves the world. And
I know
this is so far not it.
No. I feel so bad. Like, I love him. Like, I love him. And the media did him kind of dirty last year. And he just signed a big contract with them too. And like, and this thing is repay him. I know. Yeah. Couple more notes. I know that you have a new Stanley Cup pick. I don't know who it is. And I see that you have the Leafs meltdown versus the Coyotes in here, which is my original Stanley Cup pick. And I'm not feeling great.
I'm like, okay, again, like I was just saying, those type of things happen. You're gonna like blow the lead, like whatever. That was a fucking meltdown, and it's the fact it came to the Coyotes. That's concerning.
That's like losing to the Sharks.
Yeah. I'm like, you guys are prompted to be top of the league, like cup favorite.
They're cursed.
I'm like, you just blew a lead and let the Coyotes win 4-2. Like,
they are cursed.
Meltdown.
Drake curse.
Brutal. But it was funny.
Do you want to talk about my last note or your last note first?
I'll give my last note so that we can kind of go into yours.
Okay.
My new Stanley Cup pick after a week of the regular season, New York Rangers.
Oh. Okay, why? Not that I'm like anti-Rangers, like obviously they had a great year last year. I didn't know if you felt like that was a fluke or if everyone kind of felt that way or if everyone's like on the Rangers now.
See, I feel like last year, the Rangers definitely, I was like, yeah, they're definitely going to make the playoffs. They have some of the best goaltending, if not right now, besides Tampa, like second best. That I think it's a very close call at this point. And it's going to be tough for Igor to replicate that season he had, but he's more than capable. Yeah. I think last year, the Rangers, it was like, okay, like we're getting further than we thought. They've always been someone like they have such a loaded farm system. They have such promising young players. It's like, okay, a couple years down the line.
Super
and
young.
That's how I kind of felt last year at the beginning of the season with them. I was like, yeah, like they have the potential, but I think more like up and coming years. I think this is the year for them. Like what I've seen from them just in the couple games I've watched, they're a powerhouse. I think they made like that game against Tampa, like the Lightning couldn't keep up with the Rangers at some point. Like they were getting
I think they're just
outplayed.
old though.
That's also true.
And the Rangers are so young.
I would say they're young. They're a close team. Like everyone's into the culture of that the Rangers are building there. That's my Stanley Cup pick.
I would not be mad at that at all. I would not be mad at that at all. Cause I don't think there's a single person on that roster that I dislike.
They have such a likable roster. It kills me because they are a New York team.
Yeah.
But that was like why last year I'm like, I have to cheer for this team. They have such likable players.
Yeah. I don't even care. Like and that's the thing is it's like, yeah, you obviously have biases based off of who you cheer for or where you're from, but it's like when a team is likable, like they're just likable. Like the Bills for me, I don't love Bills fans. Like I do love Bills fans because they're crazy, but it's like, they're too crazy at times, but I just love their roster. Like, so I feel like I can cheer for them. Sorry, like I gotta pop my neck.
Yeah, I'm like Josh Allen. How could someone not like Josh Allen?
Yeah, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs. Like I am a big Stephon Diggs fan. Like he just has immaculate vibes. Like I just, it's the same thing for me. Like I don't love New York teams, never have, but that's it for me.
Yeah, I would not, again, pains me to say this, but I wouldn't be upset if the Rangers won Stanley Cup, not just because they're my Stanley Cup pick, just because I think they are far and away one of the best teams in the league. And when they're on, like they're scary.
Yeah.
They're a scary team.
Yeah. I want to talk about this really quick. Obviously, if you're involved in the hockey community, you know what's going on with Ian Cole over, I would say, the last 6 months. I'm not really going to get into the prior situation with him on the Hurricanes, just because we obviously know some people involved with it. But if you know about that, you know about that. And it kind of leads into some accusations against Ian Cole that were released about a week or two ago about him grooming young women. And I have two issues with this. One, if it's very much a trigger warning, if you want to look into this, if you haven't already, I'm going to trigger warn you that it is very in depth. If you are triggered by sexual assault at all, I would just avoid this segment and keep going for a minute or don't look into it. But he was accused of like grooming young women, and that is a very, very, very serious accusation. And it was gone within 3 days, swept under the rug. Basically, I think all they did was ask him, did you do it? And that was it, because it was gone way too quick for anything else. And the other thing that I want to mention about this is that when the story broke, Emily Kaplan tweeted and released that the NHL in the year 2022 does not have a specific domestic violence policy. And once again on this show, we are talking about a domestic violence issue in a professional sport, which we talk about almost every fucking week. A new accusation, a new allegation, a new person found guilty. And in the year 2022, your league doesn't have a policy for what? This happens almost every fucking week. Why?
I did see there like one effort to contact the woman was just tweeting at her, like, please message us. And they're like, well, she never reached out. And then that was 24 hours before they released, like, he's clear.
It's gross. And I did notice that obviously there's some stuff going on with him and his family. They don't have pictures up of each other anymore. I hope his wife is okay after the scandal earlier this year. The biggest story for me here is just the fact that there is no policy, because we see this time and time again in every single league. Honestly, the NBA is the only one that we probably haven't talked about in a year and a half of this show. Almost every single week we talk about this, and it is a very prominent issue in sports, and you don't even have a policy. That's all I have to say about it, but it's just, it's shocking to me that we are still here and still going through all of this shit right now, and we're constantly talking about it, and you can't even bother to have a fucking policy. So that being said, I want to move into I'm going to skip college football. If you want to talk college football, tune into my stream on Saturday. Not a whole lot to say other than that Auburn sucks and fuck Alabama. I'm glad Tennessee beat them. Although I do want your thoughts on Tennessee asking people to contribute to a GoFundMe or whatever for $100,000 fine and buying a new goalpost.
I saw that.
Fucking ridiculous. I also have a couple quick thoughts about the NBA before we move into our closing segments, because Sarah's got to go. Draymond Green punching Jordan Poole and then basically having no repercussions for it is fucking wild to me. Like,
that video's nuts.
That video is wild, and people are so torn about it. And it's like, I feel people are like, well, Jordan Poole probably released it, blah, blah, blah. I even if he did, like, that's still like, that fucking sucks. And how do you recover from that?
Oh, that was brutal.
And it honestly just felt like a vacation for Draymond Green, and he got a whole week off. It wasn't during the season. He missed 3 days of practice. And honestly, he's probably going to make money from this because he got to sit around and record his podcast and have clickbait for people to go listen to his podcast about it. Like, you're going to make fucking money from this. Like, that's ridiculous that you can punch a teammate and make money for it.
I didn't realize he was getting paid during that time.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I don't know if he was suspended without pay or whatever, but like, your podcast is going to get clicks because of it, because everyone's talking about it and wants to hear what you have to say. So we know how that works. I got to say, I like the attitude that the Celtics had in the game against Philly the other night, because I think that they definitely got to grow a backbone with what they're about to go through this season. And my only other note was that it feels too soon for hockey and basketball to be back, but I already said that. Our closing segments, pop culture shit. Sarah, what you got?
I think we have overlapping because I have
It's
two.
okay. I there we go.
Okay.
We're fixed.
So I have two for pop culture. I have one more Olivia Wilde, Harry Styles, Jason Sudeikis. Everything just gets weirder. I don't know if you saw this. Apparently, like,
she got rid of her dog.
Oh, I didn't even see that. I'm like, did you see how Jason laid under her car? Because Olivia, I guess she was secretly dating Harry while she was still with Jason, and he figured it out, whatever. And at the whole time, Jason was like, yeah, she's still texting me all this loving stuff, we'd be in bed together. And then I guess she went to sneak away. And I don't know why this was so specifically detailed. Olivia Wilde wanted to bring Harry Styles a special salad she made with some weird
yes, I saw this. Okay.
Jason laid out in front of the car so she couldn't bring him the salad. It's the most insane. It just gets weird and weird. I'm like, we know way too much about these people.
You decide to go through a divorce, and in that moment, you prioritize taking the guy you're cheating on your husband with, that you just decided to get a divorce with, this special salad that you make. I also, about the dog, I saw that she got rid of her dog so that she could spend more time on the road with Harry.
I just hate her more and more. And I'm really starting to dislike Harry.
I'm starting to hate him. That was what I was going to say.
I love his music, and I still love One Direction, still holding out that one day. I'm him as a person, I'm kind of out on at this point, which is so painful to say because we are Harry fans here.
Yeah, it just sucks that we as women who like men, unfortunately, well, I do half the time, you do all the time. It just sucks that women in general put him on such a pedestal for dressing how he wanted and being a part of the movement for the feminine gaze and advocating for women's rights and stuff like this. But now you're basically just a side piece fuckboy.
And I don't know if you've seen all this stuff with James Corden.
No.
I guess he's just like a raging piece of shit, which I'm like, yeah, I could have probably told you that. He
Okay.
just like gives off those vibes. But it was like business owners were giving their specific accounts of like bad interactions they've had with James Corden. And one of them was like, oh yeah, he was at dinner with Harry Styles. And people were like, you are who your friends are. Like the company you keep, like that's you. And like it's coming out that James Corden is a piece of shit, which again, why that's news,
Shocker.
I don't know. I could have easily guessed that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, he's friends with a lot of people. Then I'm like, so I'm like, maybe Harry's just sucks as a person too. I don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of seems that way.
I'm kind of coming to that reality, which sucks, but like it's true just because I mean he's an Aquarius. What did we expect? Like truly. Like he's an Aquarius man.
He's pretty to look at. He makes good music.
Yeah. Well, on top of all the queer baiting shit that's going on and he's being accused of, I'm kind of just like, all right. We had a similar note, the Selena and Hailey Bieber picture. People dug way too far into this. I really think it was just a publicity thing. I still think that they fucking hate each other's guts.
Well, I was like, okay, neither of them posted it themselves. Like neither of them have acknowledged the picture in any way. It's very clear. It's like, can you guys get a picture together? And then all these like publicity like places are posting it. So I'm like, there is nothing to read into on this. Like, it's just like probably because now that's back in the news since Hailey went on Call Her Daddy.
Yep.
And Selena's a documentary coming out.
Yep. Which I think that Hailey going on Call Her Daddy was just to get ahead of the documentary because they're about to be exposed for like cheating or whatever. So that's how I feel about that. My pop culture shit is I just want to say that Kanye West can absolutely rot in hell. Like I'm tired of making excuses for this man. I'm tired of him having a platform. I think that it should be an Andrew Tate situation. Take him off the fucking internet. Like seriously, delete his profiles. I don't give a shit. Like I don't understand what the fuck he's going through, but like he needs to be no,
like mental issues aside, like again, mental health always priority. I'm like, I'm sorry, that man just has so much hate in his heart. Like, yeah, between the Nazi comment, like the White Lives Matter, like all that shit. And I'm like, no, that's just a genuinely bad person.
Yes.
Don't give him a platform.
Mental health can be an excuse for a lot of behavior at times, but like not for you just being a hateful ass person. Like
Donald Trump was like, yeah, like he needs to calm down. He needs help.
Yeah. And that's how you know it's a problem. Sarah doesn't have a tea party this week, but I do just because it's been kind of in the news over the last 2 weeks. And I know that Sarah may have seen it, may have not. Do you know who Lana Rhoades is?
I know who she is. Yeah.
Okay. So there's been a lot of conversation about her like baby daddy situation, like not getting any child support, not in the kid's life, like basically told her to get fucked when she was pregnant. And the entire internet has come to the conclusion that we knew that it was an NBA player, but the baby came out and it is literally Blake Griffin's like spawn. Yeah. So it has to be Blake Griffin, right?
Yeah. Like, again, I barely follow the NBA and I saw that picture and before even reading the caption, I was like, that looks like Blake Griffin.
He just can't deny that kid.
And he has such a like distinct face. I'm like, dude.
It just sucks because like I don't see Blake Griffin that way. So it's like I'm holding out. Yeah, like I don't see him like being an asshole or like not paying child support because God knows he has it. And I like have never seen him be like overly like dickish to people. So I'm just kind of like, if this like comes out when this kid's 18 or whatever, like I'm really gonna hate Blake Griffin.
Yeah. That'll be very important because yeah, again, I don't know a ton of NBA players, but I obviously know Blake Griffin and he's one of the ones I'm like, oh yeah, I like him. He's like a good guy. So.
Yeah. So that sucks if that's true, but I'm kind of just like, there's no denying that that's got to be Blake Griffin's kid, dude.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know your thoughts there. I see you don't have a tweet of the week. I have one tweet of the week before we close out. I have to say, I feel really bad for Gab Goody because she had a fire tweet the other week of Kyler Murray in that green suit saying that he looked like Hillary Clinton. And I saw every platform from Pro Football Focus to Good Morning Football, everyone fucking rip Gab off on that tweet and not give her credit. So that was a great tweet. It was funny as hell. And these fucking platforms, like I know shit gets recycled, but like, goddamn.
Especially when they like post a screenshot of the actual tweet and then go out of their way to take you, like, really?
Like Good Morning Football literally used her quote and didn't claimed it as their own, whatever. Same with like Pro Football Focus. She was like clapping back at a couple people. Like, that's just a good tweet. And it's happened to me. It's happened to the best of us. Like that just, it always sucks when it does because it always gets more interaction than your tweet because someone else stole it.
So annoying.
Any closing thoughts?
Nope.
I just want to say thanks for all the love and support the last few weeks. You guys are awesome. Happy to be back. Keep on sipping, y'all, and we'll see you next week.